What's going on, Mr. Rap Nerd? And like Raphael Sadiq said, 1 year anniversary of Zack Snyder's Justice League, and I figured I would do a little something different to celebrate this movie being out for a year. And after watching it numerous times, I'm kind of like, wanted to just get my thoughts out there. What were the new plans for Zack Snyder's Justice League Part 2 and 3? For those who don't know, when the movie released last year, he put out some storyboards of what the 2 sequels would be, but he's gone on to say that these plans have changed and he kind of went a different route, still keeping some elements but going differently. And like I said, after seeing Zack Snyder's Justice League so much and understanding that movie and all of the stuff he said in the past, I'm like, I think I know where the changes are. So I'll get into that. I just want to also start off by saying I really like what DC is doing. Some things are a bit iffy in the air. I don't know what's going on, but I'm looking forward to what they choose to do with the current DCEU. The Batman just released, and I fucking loved it. It's one of my favorite comic book movies in general, one of my favorite movies in general. And that being said, Batman takes place out of that timeline, right? So if it's the multiverse, restore Snyderverse. Had to say that. Yeah, Zack Snyder's Justice League, man, it's just such an incredible film. 4 hours worth. That doesn't even feel like 4 hours. I mean, it just passes like nothing. Like, you know what I mean? The pacing is so well. I love the chapters. It just feels like if you have to pause it and go do something, the chapters are right there, so you know where to stop. It gives you everything you could want from a comic book film, and it is literally my favorite comic book movie to date. It is a DC wet dream. It is a Justice League wet dream. The visuals are insane. I love the aspect ratio. It just makes it feel like you're flipping the pages of a comic book. It's so mythic. It's epic. I mean, this is literally an epic. That's what you have to call it. It's not just a story. It's not just a movie. It is a comic book epic. Hell, it's a graphic novel movie, for God's sakes. Every character gets fleshed out. There's comedy. There's some of the best action in any comic book movie. Cinematography is off the charts. The performances are fantastic. Nobody phones it in. Everybody is performing their ass off. It's such a gorgeous spectacle to see. And you saw my review last year when it came out. I was just going off for like 30 minutes talking about it because I loved it that much, and I still loved it. I love it more every time I see it because there is so much to unpack in this movie. It's a lot to unpack. Maybe one day I'll do my personal breakdown part by part because it is so much. It's layered. It's pretty straightforward, I would say. I feel like it's straightforward as Man of Steel, but it still has some layers in it that when you watch it over and over, there's things you'll pick up on that either relate to BVS or Man of Steel, and it ties stuff together. I mean, just the fact that the end shot is what Jor-El said to Clark in Man of Steel. They'll stumble, they'll fall, but they'll join you when the sun is. You see the shot of the league with the sun just kissing them, and it's just a beautiful picture. So love that movie. But back to what I said earlier. You're getting a video title. What was his plan supposed to be? Okay, so I got this information from bits and pieces of information starting from 2018. Like when, as you know, Zack's movie was not seen in 2017. They pretty much hijacked it. Joss Whedon and WB, and he was pretty loose-lipped about a lot of his plans. So I'm gonna be real with you. I didn't search for any of it because Vero, a lot of it came from Vero when he was talking and just random interviews when he was just saying stuff, and it was just too difficult to track down. But I'm letting you know that me describing these movies are pieces of what he said and me just piecing it together in my head to kind of make sense of it. But like I said, he was really, really loose-lipped. I mean, he was loose-lipped when, for promo when Zack Snyder's Justice League, just talking about different factors and things about like what you're going to see here was what this was going to be. And again, Vero, he was responding to fans just saying all kind of stuff. I mean, and the thing about, again, Vero is when you go through comments, every time Zack posts, I mean, he has like hundreds of comments. So you can't just go to him and see what he's saying. It's not like Instagram where it shows the app pop up of him talking to people. You really have to like really go through. And he was just posting, mad stuff on Vero, mad stuff, and then interviews and talking to different people on lives and all that stuff. So he was saying a lot. This is all just coming from what I heard from him and just putting it into perspective after seeing his Justice League. So And I'm not going to talk about storyboards. Storyboards are out there. You can see those. But I'm just going to straight up go for what I think that he was going to do. So, Justice League 2, right? First of all, Manhunter was not supposed to be Manhunter. It was supposed to be Jon Stewart and Kilowog, I believe. It was supposed to be both of them telling him, hey, Darkseid is coming, you know. And they know because Jon Stewart is not assigned to this sector to protect the Earth. And Kilowog is assigned to it. So they come to him, telling him they're on the way, Darkseid, blah, blah, blah. So, knowing this information and seeing the nightmares himself, Bruce is like, okay, we know this Darkseid guy. We actually saw him through this portal. So maybe we should take the fight to him and get the jump on him. That's what Bruce's mindset is. I remember Snyder saying that they go there, they go to Apocalypse and it ends poorly, and then it's like a domino effect on all the stuff we've seen in the nightmare. So they prep, finding ways to get to Apocalypse. So what I think happens is, Victor was created from the Mother Box. He's part of the Mother Box, and he also absorbed the energy. So I feel like he has some type of way where he can find a way to Apocalypse, whether they go back to the last scene in Justice League where the boom tube opened up and they can find the route there from that, and they decide like, okay, this is how we get to him. We know how to get to Apocalypse, right? And all the League comes together, and they had this plan like, okay, half of us are gonna stay on Earth and the other half are gonna go to Apocalypse to bring the fight to Darkseid, and just in case they do come back, we'll have somebody here to defend. We all don't want to be there, right? And I'm not sure of everybody who stays, but the people who do stay on Earth are Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and Kilowog. The people who go are Batman, Cyborg, and Superman. Those three go, those three stay. Who else comes and goes? I don't really know that part, but Aquaman is the king of the sea at this time. After the Aquaman movie, Justice League, he becomes the king of the sea, and the Earth is made up of 70% water, so it just makes sense for him to be there, to have his whole army go against Darkseid and the Parademons if they do come. They've had experience with them, and then you have the Amazons on the Mascara who also can lend a hand in fighting, and you have Kilowog. There's a Green Lantern who's a powerhouse on his own. So, and again, I don't know who else was there. I don't know if Flash was there, but I know those factors are there because it plays out in the nightmare sequence. That's why in the nightmare sequence, when Cyborg goes into the box, you see the death of Aquaman and Wonder Woman because they stayed behind. So they use some type of technology or machine to find the location, right? And what ends up happening, I think, is they think they got the jump on Darkseid, but he actually has a jump on them and knows that they're coming and prepares for them to come instead of like ready in the armada, like he said at the end of JL. So they get there and Darkseid's just chilling there waiting for them. And what I believe happens is, of course, for the most part, the League loses really bad. I remember Zack saying it ends poorly. It doesn't go well at all. And I think Superman is holding his own, fighting against Darkseid. Of course, he's getting his ass beat too, but it's like a toe-to-toe fight. That's when, while they're fighting, is when Darkseid sends the Furies and Big Barda to the Mascara. And that's when, because he mentioned it, like, there's a sequence in the next JL where the Furies are fighting the Amazons. And I think that's what happens. And they end up overruling, and then that's why you see Wonder Woman in the seeing her dead in the nightmare, but I'll explain more as the story goes on what happens with her. So sends the Mascara, sends the Furies to the Mascara, and they're fighting Amazon. Diana's part of the fight, but I think what ends up happening is Lois's safety comes up. I'm not sure if I'm pretty sure Batman told her about something, but the whole reason Superman even went to Apocalypse is because he made him this promise, like, look, you don't have to worry. We will make sure Lois is okay, because Superman just came back and it's like, I don't want to lose her again. And that's where the whole thing about she was my world comes from, and the nightmare of BVS. But Diana takes Lois to the Batcave, to find some type of safety, right? On the other side, Darkseid sends some people down to Atlantis to fight, and that's when Aquaman and the Seven Seas are taking on the Parademons, blah blah blah. Back on Apocalypse, they're pretty much losing. Superman is just trying to do his thing, and I feel like what happens is Darkseid decides to, like, you know, he's looking at him like, you're an admirable opponent, but I'm gonna hurt you I'm gonna hurt you worse than you could ever imagine. Boom tubes back down onto the Bat Cave, and you know, like what Zack said, she ends up roasting Lois, and Diana's supposed to be there, you know, trying to stop it, but she's no match for Darkseid, and he ends up killing Lois. And by the time Cyborg and them get back to Earth, that's already happened. Lois is dead. Aquaman is dead. I don't think Wonder Woman's dead at this point. I think he may have her contained or something like that, because I feel like, based off of the other nightmare, when she's dead in front of all of the Amazons, I feel like he wanted to kill her in front of them, and that's why, you know, he's sitting on the ship watching her body burn. So Clark gets there, loses it, of course, you know, as you can imagine he would. You see him holding a corpse, and Darkseid puts his hand on his shoulder. You know, by this point, Darkseid has the anti-life equation, and I feel like he remembers the fight that they had, and he's like, I want this one to be my top soldier. Hand on the shoulder, and here we are in the nightmare world. The whole world is sparked. Well, it's not sparked. The whole world is scorched. So from that point, and again, Kilowog is dead. You know, you see it in the nightmare when he's just laid out like that. So that's why these characters they're shown specifically in the nightmare, because they stayed behind. But anyway, from this point, it's the scorched earth, and Batman and, you know, the rest of the heroes who are left on Earth, and some of the people from the Suicide Squad or whatever, they are left to, you know, to hide and defend themselves, because Darkseid has not only scorched the Earth, but he's used the anti-life equation to control, you know, so many people. They devised this plan, you know, running Flash back, and now Bruce kind of understands, like, that's what Flash came to tell me. He came to tell me to stop this from happening, and realizing that he knows that he's gonna have to do the same thing, but he wants to go about it differently. And he comes to this point where he's like, they should have just stayed there and united to fight Darkseid instead of breaking up and, you know, easily defeating us. Because, you know, the whole thing when Bruce is like, you never met us united, and that's the whole goal of them coming together. So this is all just Elite 2, by the way. So they had the plan. Bruce is like, you know, you came back to me and tried to warn me about this happening, I think, but I misunderstood it for something else. We need to send you back again to catch me in the same moment and make sure that I do it right. So they go on a search for the mother boxes, and Green Lantern comes back, John Stewart comes back to Earth, seeing it scorched, and he's kind of like, damn, because again, he's been all across, you know, space, seeing Darkseid do the same exact thing to other planets. And so when he comes back to this Earth, he's pretty much trying to find those who are left. He's trying to find Bruce Wayne, because he told him. They eventually find him, and Bruce runs that plan by him, like, look, we need to find this mother box, because we need to send Barry back to avoid this thing from happening, because if he can rewrite history, none of this will happen or whatever. And that's where Joker comes into play, because Joker is one of the few that can't be controlled by the anti-life equation. That's why in the nightmare, Joker's like, you need me to undo all of this, because he can't be controlled by it. You know what I'm saying? And Zack has explained this too. Like, there's this whole time thing that you can only jump Flash back, you know, once a year, or once every 2 years, I believe he said. It might have been every 2 years. He said every 2 years you can jump him back. Because it has to be at the specific same point when he jumps him back to get there. So they've been literally on the run in this post-apocalyptic world for years, trying to get the boxes, pretty much. And every time they do it, it sends a signal. Superman, who is evil at this point, goes to find them and pretty much kills them. So they sit down and have their Last Supper, which Zack explained that, you know, they have a Last Supper and talk about different things and exchange stories before heading out there. When they finally do get the box, and of course, everybody you've seen in the nightmare scene is who's there. You know, Deathstroke, Batman, Flash, Victor, Joker, Mirror, they're all there. And then John Stewart, and probably a few other people who are around, but who knows. But so they finally get the boxes, and that's when, you know, Victor does his thing, boots into the box, Flash gets on a treadmill, and that's when Superman shows up and starts decimating people, like killing everybody. Right before you get back to Flash, Flash is able to do his thing, run back in time. And I'm not sure what Flash tells Bruce, but I would assume it has to be something like, hold off on going to them. You need to prepare because you don't have enough time. And again, he only has 15 seconds to get this point across to tell him. And so it's pretty much like a reboot. And this goes along with the slate that was released in 2015, where we seen Justice League 2 come right after Justice League. Like no, right after like Aquaman. I think in what was supposed to be released. I'll put it up here. I believe it was Justice League, Aquaman, Shazam, and I think Flash was supposed to come out, and then Justice League 2, and then after Justice League 2, you have a whole slate of stuff. And the reason that is because at the end of Justice League 2, it runs back time to the end of Justice League number 1. You know what I mean? So that's why you have a long slate. That's why we have another Batman movie. That's why we have another Superman movie there. That's why we have the Cyborg, Green Lantern, all that stuff after Justice League 2, because the Nightmare world has gotten undone. But fast forward Justice League 3, I feel like it's kind of the same as what's on the storyboards. The only difference is, again, they just stay on Earth and prep for it. And Darkseid never gets the chance to even get to Lois because they prepped for it and didn't go to him. And again, how they said he gathered all of the forces of Earth. The Green Lantern came back with the Green Lantern Corps. Aquaman's the controller of the Seed Mascara. Again, the world became a Justice League to face Darkseid when he did come. And instead of, in the storyboards, Bruce sacrificed himself by jumping in front of the beams when Darkseid roasts her. Batman jumps in the way. But in this one, Batman doesn't die until, from what I heard him say, Batman doesn't die until the very end. Because if I'm not mistaken, he wanted to end the movie very similar to Final Crisis, where Batman shoots a kryptonite bullet at Darkseid, weakening him heavily, and he ends up getting roasted, and Superman has to hold his corpse the same way on that cover. And that's when Superman is just like, goes into rage mode and beats the shit out of Darkseid, and they end up eventually winning. Superman's child has no powers, and he ends up becoming the new Batman. So that is what I think happens. Again, I think the third movie is pretty much the same, just a little bit more details, but that second one is way different. There's no Legion of Doom, there's no Lex doing anything. It's just straight up them losing because they chose to go to Apocalypse and suffered badly for it. So I hope that's right. Probably, like I said, I'm pretty sure it's not all the way right, because this is just me piecing my own information together based off of what I've seen and heard Zack say himself. It feels like that's pretty much what it is, especially when he revealed, I think it was IGN, when he said the whole second movie was supposed to, Justice League 2, the whole movie was supposed to be that Nightmare world. So we really get a good unraveling of this cat and mouse game trying to find the mother box. It's pretty much a scavenger hunt movie while trying to evade Superman and Parademon. So I think that idea alone is incredible. I want to see that. That's hard. If you find holes in this, don't kill me. This is just me spitballing. I thought it would be cool to just have this discussion. Excuse me. And put that story up, because I just think that's such a dope idea, man. Like when I heard that, I was just like, man, this is fucking cool. So restore Snyderverse WB. Keep what you're doing, but just bring the Snyderverse back. Zack's JL is just something else, man. I love that movie, and I would love to see the continuation, and just wrap it up pretty easily. You know what I mean? Let Zack do his thing. He shoots pretty quickly. Let him do it in a TV show format, or I prefer a movie, because I prefer movies. But anyway, let me know in the comments what you think. Let me know stuff that you may have heard, or what your retelling of the story is. And until next time, peace.
RapNerd Productions, no capping, that's word to mommy.